Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com.
Hey everybody, happy Monday. Lunchtime Live is here. I'm your host, meteorologist Aaron Tuttle. Thanks for joining me. You come to the right place. We're going to talk about the weather again. I'm sure you guys were like, hey, I'm glad you finally crawled out from under that rock you were hiding. We actually have some weather now to talk about, and that's why I'm here. I get really bored when it's really quiet and it's sunny or whatever. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that. I got a weather app for that. It's free. It's easy. AT's Weather to Goes. But when things get exciting, I'm right back here in the thick of things with you. Brigida, thank you very much. Shelly, also thank you for the stars, ladies. Angie's in the house with some stars. You too, Mary. Appreciate your support of AT's Weather. Buy me a cup of coffee here for today. Keep me warm. Keep those bones from breaking in the cold, man. Oh, it's just disgusting out there. Take a look at this. That sunshine, it looks deceiving. I mean, there's not a cloud in the sky. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, I mean, you'd think it'd be warmer than that, but nope. It's cold. So, yeah, we're not going to be going anywhere as far as the this kind of stuff goes for the short term. By the way, you guys on YouTube, thanks for checking in as always. And, of course, on Rumble and on Facebook. I'm going to put the link on the Facebook Live to where, I know sometimes when you click on it, it says, I don't know, it says it's not working or it's full or whatever. I don't know what it is. It's just a link that Facebook gives me to promote this broadcast channel. So if you want to join that, there's over 5,000 of you are in there. So obviously it did work at some point, and some of you still keep trickling in because the number does go up. But anyway, you can get notified when I go live by clicking that link. Thank you, Crystal, for the stars, and David and Nancy. Appreciate you. So let's talk about, obviously, what's coming our way in the end of the week. But before that, just sort of what's going to happen here in the short term. We still got some more snow coming. Remember, I told you this is a 3-part system for this final wave. The last part comes in for this evening, early evening, and we'll talk about that. So let me go to, let's see, which map I want to show you. So many things to show you. Where's my brain right now? It's scattered is what it is. All right, let's start with this first off. Okay, so this is, we should have a northeast wind here across Oklahoma. That's what little red barbs indicate. And temperatures in the red color, dew points in the green color. So dew point values are still in the negative numbers. That means a very dry air in place. That is how you know that you have Arctic air, is whenever you have those negative numbers. When you look at just the plain color-coded numbers out here for air temperatures alone, you can still see lots of single digits here across northeast Oklahoma and the Panhandle. And we're starting to moderate a little bit here in central Oklahoma. If you look at the wind, though, that is still, mine's not bad. It was like 10 miles per hour. I think I saw a gust a little higher than that. So that's keeping our wind chill values below 0 for the time being. We'll have a little bit of a break this afternoon in the wind, not much. So again, wind chill values holding right about the 0-degree goose egg. Now last night we had that snow develop I talked about, moving along the I-40 corridor west to east, and look at that. It did just as I forecasted. It was perfect. And then I say a little higher amounts up here in this little spot. Yes. Unfortunately, it didn't amount to a whole lot. I think it was like a dusting out here across this part of the state, and out here in this part of the state, a little dusting. And here in Oklahoma City, I don't know, there may have been some flurries, but a lot of this stuff must have evaporated before hitting the ground, or just didn't come right over my house anyway, kind of missed me. But you might have had a little light dusting of snow overnight into this morning, and that's because that little wave moved through. And then we're going to look to the north for our final wave for this storm system as the jet stream pattern kind of finally gets into the final position it wants to be in. All the weather advisories are confined down here to the south and east of us as the leftover precipitation continues. The main jet stream pattern in the water vapor channel shows that the storm system is right here. It's pretty much moved out of our area, taking all the inclement weather along with it. We do have an enhancement right here that you see. Now this is on the base of this trough axis that's digging. So if I were to kind of overlay visually what the jet stream is doing, it's doing something like this, but it is digging southward, and as it does so, it enhances this little corner here of instability and moisture and precipitation and cloud cover as it goes over the Rockies. So this is an indication we have some lift in this circled region, and it's going to be coming through the state here for this evening hours. Now, we're very dry in the atmosphere, so it's not going to amount to anything again, probably some flurries, at most a light dusting. This is what it looks like if you factor in the colors on the map underneath that channel that I showed you. So you headed to the Monday evening time frame and Monday overnight. This is what this little batch just kind of zips on through. Like I said, it's not much and it's mostly confined to our north, but that is the final push. And then we get into kind of a dry northwesterly flow aloft, which will allow another system to come through. We do, which will bring in the cold front. This guy right here is actually going to bring in a little front for us Wednesday night. So that'll be our first little mini front that comes in with a follow-up front after that. Now, normally I would look at this and go, hey, we got some lift coming in the atmosphere, and we're going to produce some precipitation out of that. However, if you're doing a click forecast sounding for that period, I want to show you that we are bone dry. So in other words, if we thought it was dry now, we're really dry then. So I do not expect any precipitation falling out of that little feature. But as we go through time, again, this jet stream pattern kind of dips out in this fashion. That's going to help to bring in that cold air back into our region as we headed toward Friday, as that ridge builds out here to the west. And so what that's going to do, like I mentioned last night, and I set the stage for this, this is going to be on Sunday, right here, Sunday morning. Let's just go to Sunday afternoon. So on Sunday afternoon, now we have this kind of a broad trough axis, and all this lift in the atmosphere all the way back here in pieces, in chunks, that's going to come through in a southwest flow aloft, overriding the shallow Arctic air. 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, somewhere in that high probability, it usually equates to an ice storm. So that is why I called for that yesterday, and I got a lot of course, a lot of chatter. Listen, man, you got to have balls in this industry, and there's too many people that don't. If you see a pattern, you recognize it, call for it, and just talk about it. Just, you can hedge, and you can say, this is what we're watching. You can say, look at trends, and you can say, this is what the data shows, and you can plead your case, from the jury of your peers. Man, if you fall on your face in 7 days from now, so be it. But if the pattern is the pattern, if the data is the data, why are you going to dismiss it and pretend it doesn't exist? I don't do that, so I call it like it is. I'm just a data guy. I'm not an emotional guy. So let's take a look here at the, what do I want to show you? Oh, I don't want to even show that map because I don't care about that one. Let's do this one. I want to show you that there is a little bit of that light snow coming our way for the evening hours. Let me zip through this. Let's see. So that was, hold on a second. I want to go to this map here. All right, so here it comes. There's southern Kansas. So remember that track of that upper low, or that track of the upper trough, is a little bit better position for you guys. So probably a little bit more than a dusting in your area. But as far as Oklahoma goes, there's that signature here that comes in across your state, into our state, as we head into the evening hours, and then it kind of vaporizes because it runs into that dry air, and that's it. I mean, there's nothing really else to speak of for a while. Let's see if you go to the end of this. This is for Wednesday afternoon. Yeah, doesn't even show anything there either. Okay, good. So here's a close-up view for Oklahoma. And there's that little batch of snow that moves through. So maybe some significantly measurable snow, like maybe up to an inch up here in northwest Oklahoma. But as it moves south, you see how it kind of evaporates into the drier air. So again, maybe a dusting at most out of this. Otherwise, I think just some flurries with that situation. Okay, so that's precipitation in the short term. Long term, let's go ahead and take a look. Has that setup for Sunday and a Monday continued? Let's see. By the way, here is that little low midweek. So here's Thursday morning. So Wednesday night, Thursday morning. This is what's going to drive in kind of a weak but significant cold air flow behind it. Kind of like a weak cold front. And once that zips through, if you knew these isobars are well packed after that. So here's Friday morning. These isobars, see how packed they are? That indicates a very strong front has progressed through. So a follow-up to that will be for Thursday night or Friday morning, and that'll be the Arctic air that sneaks in here for Friday. So it's going to be cooling us down quite a bit. And that'll be with us on Saturday. And then on Sunday, remember the models, some of them tried to erode the Arctic air too soon, and I thought, I don't buy that. And they started to produce precipitation at the same time. I think, ooh, that's a problem. All right, so here's Sunday morning. Here's Sunday afternoon. So late day. So what the models are still suggesting, I went with the Canadian because the Canadian was the first to pick up on this. The European has now done it, and even the GFS to a degree has done it as well. So now we have more model consistency, and the trend has been established for 2 days in a row now. So in other words, the confidence will start to go up that there is going to be something to this. Now the question is exact placement and the exact precipitation type. So in this particular model, it likes to differentiate. So green is for rain, this red is for freezing rain, the purple is for sleet, and the blue is for snow. So what it's indicating just today, because it's going all over the place, because remember, it's got to get a hold as to how cold this air is going to be. But for right now, for whatever reason, this morning, it will suggest that we're going to be cold enough for pure snow when this thing starts late Sunday afternoon and evening. Otherwise, cold enough for sleet here in North Texas, and then freezing rain down south from there. Now, as we go through time, it says, okay, we're going to warm temperatures up a little bit above the surface, and we're going to have more of that sleet now move into Oklahoma, and we're going to have more of that freezing rain expand across Texas into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And by Monday morning, it's got almost the entire state, eastern 2/3 of Oklahoma in pure sleet, and it's got pretty much all of north and eastern and central Texas in freezing rain. So that's a big ice storm. In other words, ice in the form of two things. Rain that freezes on contact, that's freezing rain. That's the pure slick stuff. And then you have sleet, which is like those little mini ice balls that come down. All right, so we go into noontime Monday. You can start to see now it tries to warm Oklahoma up to get where we get less sleet and more freezing rain as we go into the afternoon on Monday. But there's another trend that it tries to do. If you catch down here toward the end, it tries to warm it up where all of this freezing rain down here just turns into regular rain. So in other words, that is the edge of the Arctic air eroding enough to allow temperatures to recover. Now that can happen. It does happen in some cases, just like it does happen where the Arctic air is too strong, and it never happens and it just stays ice. So either way can occur for that Sunday to Monday time frame. Just depends on how strong that surface high is, how dense and how deep that cold layer is with Arctic air. Typically it's pretty shallow, like less than 100 millibars, and that's why a lot of times the models have a tough time with it. They can't, resolution can't step that enough to understand that that dense layer is still there when it thinks it's eroded. Now when you look at the ice amounts out of this, so we'll go with the European first. So European has a mixture of freezing rain and sleet in this area over a good chunk of the eastern half of Oklahoma. It doesn't but too much down here. All this stuff right here you see on the map is actually the model forecast from last night into today. So discard this for this upcoming weekend. So it kind of has a system to the north as the take home for this. All right. Now the Canadian model decided to shove the system south, but versus what it had before. It was kind of more like anchored here, and now it's just shoved it south and has expanded its coverage. So now the coverage for the Canadian model is pretty vast, and of course it does extend up here. So let me clear the screen again. So, but the other take home is that it has boosted amounts by double. So it's got 1.5 inches of freezing rain and ice accumulations here in North Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth, Tyler, etc. Now, I will caution you this. Typically, the Canadian model will double reality. So that's your rule of thumb. And right now, let's just say it doubled reality. Well, that'd still be, if, again, this were all pound exactly as it says, that'd be over 1/2 inch of ice in many areas. That would be crippling, another crippling ice storm. All right. Now, go to the American model. At least it finally has some ice. Doesn't have a whole lot, but at least it's finally on the board. It's finally in the game, and then we'll see what happens. So right now, these are our 3 global models: the American, the Canadian, and the European. They all signify, yep, there's some ice coming. Placement's in question. The exact timing is in question, but the pattern is there. So I recognized before the models did, but at least they caught on to me. So now the question is, will it stay? Because I could easily be wrong. We could go 4 days from now and the trend reverses. There's not that cold, and all of a sudden it's a cold rain. Sure, that could easily happen, but for right now, that's not what's happening. The data says otherwise. So I'm going to go with the data until it says otherwise. Okay, so let's look at temperatures in the short term. Like we talked about today, pretty cold. Let me start you off here at lunchtime, or 1 o'clock. So there we go into the mid-teens as a recovery this afternoon across most of Oklahoma, upper teens down south, and close to 10 degrees in Bartlesville. You may never quite get out of the single digits, I'm afraid. As we head into the evening hours, we're going to cool back down as usual. As we head into tonight, we're going to be seeing some more 0-degree temperatures sneak in there by daybreak. There's 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning. So below 0 in some of these areas where you see the purple region, that does get pretty close to Oklahoma City. I would not be surprised if once again we saw temperatures around 0 here in town. And of course up across Kansas is cold too. Then on Tuesday, we'll rebound you. Pretty decent rebound. This Arctic air now is pretty old at this point. Therefore, we should make it into the mid-20s across most of the western half of the state, even upper 20s to near 30 at times, especially maybe out here in the Panhandle region. Otherwise, eastern Oklahoma, because the air is still hanging a little stronger, they're going to be a little colder. All right, and then finally, as we head into Wednesday morning, we're into the teens with a rebound expected. It's not here on this map, but I'll basically show it for you. It's going to be something like this. So pretty much anywhere north and east of this line, you're probably still going to be below freezing on Wednesday, just by a hair. And then anything along and west of this line, you should be either at or above freezing. So probably maybe some low 40s down here in southwest Oklahoma, otherwise mid 30s elsewhere over that area. So that will be our first day. We'll get to at least thaw out somewhat. It won't be a big thaw, but it'll be a mini thaw as that little system moves through during the middle of the week. All right, like we talked about, the winds will still be up a little bit. So you can see there's some wind gusts in the 15 to 20 mile per hour category, even a little higher. As we head into the evening hours, they pick up 20 to 30 miles per hour. That'll keep those wind chill values, of course, on the cold side. And then by the time we head into Tuesday morning, those winds die down. Now, again, if the skies can clear completely and these winds die down completely, we'll be down closer to those negative dew point values. That's what I'm saying. I think we'll see easily 0 degrees here in Oklahoma City and probably even less than that. Let's see here. So let's go Tuesday itself. The winds do kind of pick up a little bit. 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's not bad, though. Okay, so let's go to, like I said, the wind chill map. So we're getting below 0 here for today across the northern half of the state. Tonight, pretty much everybody's below 0. And as we head on into tomorrow, in the morning hours, below 0. By the time we get to the afternoon, not bad. Our rebound with those temperatures and the winds calming down a little bit. Wind chill values be into the teens and single digits. So there's a little bit of a break when it comes to the wind. Temperatures over the next couple of days, and I mentioned this in my blog. If you haven't read it, please check it out, AaronTuttleWeather.com. I don't think we're going to hit the 40s both of these days. I think we'll be in the 30s both days. Then on Friday, probably a couple degrees colder than this. Saturday, probably mid-20s. Sunday, like I said, I don't think we're going to get above freezing, so I'm going to keep us in the mid to upper 20s. And then Monday depends on how things go. We could easily start out in the lower 20s with wet bulbing from the morning, from the precipitation of the ice. And then going throughout the day, if we can get enough warm air advection, enough precipitation that transports down to help warm up the lowest levels, we might possibly get either at or above freezing by late in the day. So that means we'd have ice during at least a 12-hour period. So we will see. This is the question mark as to what happens. And after that, I don't think there's any immediate cold air coming in. Once this does move out, this will moderate things. So Tuesday and Wednesday, I don't know if we hit 50, but we are going to get a warm up after that. Let's see. Last thing I wanted to show you, kind of give you another view. This is the view of the atmosphere. I'm going to look at the HRRR model for Oklahoma City. I want to show you that as that little wave that comes in this evening, it does have a lot of lift with it, omega, but it does not have a lot of moisture. Now here's some moisture in the snow growth layer, not quite juxtaposed on the timing, but still at least some incident, some there. And so there's some moisture down here and snow growth layers here. So there should be some flurries that at least come out of this is the bottom line here. Not a lot of lift to produce more than that, at least indicated in the model data, but that's what we're looking at for that first round this evening of flurry or light snow activity. All right, now let's go to the extended, and I want to show you what that looks like for the increase in moisture. So this is the last thing I'm going to show you. I'm going to cut you loose. So going this way is time. So it's opposite from when you're normally accustomed to seeing time go. All right, so this is our midweek system. Thursday and Friday, with that next Arctic front comes in. Just like last time, you might squeeze out some flurries with that Arctic air that comes in Friday morning in the late night, early morning hours for Thursday night, Friday morning. You might squeeze out a little bit of flurry activity just because we're replacing Arctic air with Arctic air. Otherwise, there's no significant lift with it. And then as we head into that Sunday time period, here is the kind of the noontime frame on Sunday. We are socked in the clouds. This is all 100% humidity, so we are socked in clouds that come in, which is why I don't think we're going to warm up. And then we also have moisture coming in aloft right here, and we're in the snow growth layer in here. So normally we'd get some snow out of this if temperatures were cold enough to do so, but we might have a warm layer of air that sneaks in right around this altitude. And if that happens, then we're going to have that transition, what would have been all snow, to be sleet and or freezing rain. So that's what we're going to watch out. That's for here in Oklahoma City. If I show you Dallas, a little bit different there. because they're southward, right? So they're going to get more of that. But they have the same look. So they have all this moisture confined here. They even have some moisture up aloft at mid-levels with the snow growth layer. But their temperatures in that warm layer is much thicker than ours and is already in place in this area. So they are going to definitely get a mixture of sleet and freezing rain rather than snow if the surface temperatures down here at the bottom, where we of course live and breathe, are still below freezing. So that's the million-dollar question. So right now the data still indicates that both areas are on the table as far as an icy mixture is concerned as we head from late Sunday afternoon into Monday, and then we'll see if things erode or get any better. So that's what I got here for you. Can you show Tulsa, Jody? Well, what would you like to see in Tulsa? I showed the entire map, which covers the entire state. Tulsa's in the northeastern corner of that map. Let's see. Brenda, thank you for the stars. Mary, thank you as well. Ron, appreciate you, brother. Kathy, thank you. Appreciate the love. So I hope that was helpful. This is what we're going to be following throughout the week. So Mary says, what about Oklahoma? Same thing. Or Arkansas. Yeah, you're in the same pathway for the ice. So as soon as all that stuff happens. Oh, you want the technical stuff. You want the vertical snow growth. I like you guys. I like it when you guys learn a little meteorology and you like crave the real stuff. Like you crave the science part of it, right? That's fun. That's good. I like that. It means you're paying attention. All right, so let's do Tulsa. All right, so Tulsa, for example. Thank you, Sarah. That is so cute. I love it. Remember, in TV, and I've told you this before if you watch me, remember, TV is a third grade education level. So when you watch the news, it is geared toward a third grade education level to even the field for everybody. So if you feel like you're a little too educated to watch the crap that's on the news, now you know why. Here, I don't talk to you like a third grade education level. I talk to you like an adult, but I explain it to you so you can understand. And it's the fun part of the science because I got more time to do so. But in here, we'll show you what that looks like. We're talking about the vertical column of the atmosphere that Jody wanted. So here's a look at the precipitation potential for Tulsa in that first little wave this evening. So what you also have is a lot of moisture from the mid-levels down to the surface, but what you do not have is little red areas to correlate on top of it. So in other words, you really don't have a whole lot of lift with this system. You have enough probably squeeze out, like I said, the flurries, maybe a very, very light dusting at most, but I even doubt that. But that's what you're going to get. So that's all, according to the models, that's all that is available for you there. Now, if you want to go the extended, like I did for Dallas and Oklahoma City for the Sunday event, you're looking at the same idea. Again, here's that middle system here, and there's a little potential for flurries. Like we said, for this little front, it's got a little something in here for Saturday morning. Interesting. I'll have to look at that in more detail later. But anyways, here's that patch of that front for Thursday night into Friday morning, so you might get some flurries out of that. Otherwise, there's no significant lift to go along with the passage of that front. So it should be all that you get out of it. Now, if you look over here, again, time is over here on the left for Sunday, so we're in this quadrant. Got to go backwards. And I don't know why the designer of this program did that. It bothers me, and I wish I could flip it, but I can't. But it is what it is. So anyway, so there's all the moisture here on the left, just like Dallas and Oklahoma City, and even some mid-levels, et cetera, et cetera. So you've got the snow growth layer, and you've got some moisture in it, but you don't have any good omega. In other words, little red circles you see, they're not there where they need to be, which is right here to just produce a bunch of heavy precip. But it's early. This is just the beginning of the stage. The model on this particular panel does not go out past this point. Therefore, you don't get to see what the rest of it looks like using this interface. Now, what I could do, I could show it to you. It's a little different. I can't show you as much cool stuff on it, but I can at least give you what the profile would look like. So we'll go to, let's go to Monday morning. All right, let's go to Monday morning. So by then, the system should be well underway. Pre-ship should be happening. This is just past the window that we're looking at for that other graphic. I'll go to Dallas, show you what this looks like for an example. All right, so this deal right here, this little warm nose is above our threshold here of freezing. So if it's to the right of that line, that means it's gonna, all this snow that falls here is gonna melt to rain here. and then it goes back left of this line where temperatures get below freezing once you get down to about 1,000 meters off the ground and then down the surface, and then it has time to refreeze when it flashes on the ground, hence therefore freezing rain. So that's what this sounding forecast would be like for Monday morning here in Dallas-Fort Worth, should all this verify, with a temperature of 28 degrees over 27 dew point. All right, so that's pretty saturated atmosphere. Now, if you go up north, we'll pick, you know what, I'll tell you what, we'll split the difference. We'll pick in between Oklahoma City and Tulsa, right in the middle. Just to show you, because it's about the same each one. But we're looking at, looks like mid-20s here at the surface. We do have, same idea, here is our freezing line here. Now, if you will notice, compared to the other one, that little nose that comes across barely crosses it. What that means is there's not enough warm air at this layer to produce, to completely melt the system to where it's just all liquids. In other words, it comes down as a little hardened against it. Let's put it this way. It does melt it here, but it's so shallow for such a short period of time that when it crosses back over the freezing point, it has a much longer time to go all the way down the surface to refreeze. And that makes it into sleet, those little balls that you see that bounce around. So anyway, so that's what that looks like. If you go up here into Kansas, this is just looking at the Canadian model. They also, right along the line right here, so they have right now sleet. So it could be a mixture, probably snow and sleet with that little profile. So let me think. That is 168. So let's go to the GFS. So the GFS on Monday, you can see that has hardly any precipitation, right? So for Dallas, we'll pick down here. Now remember, the GFS is horrible at this, but I just want to show you just an output change in the models. Now, this is how horrible the GFS is. Our freezing line is actually, it says it's 37 degrees at the surface, so already has it above freezing. But there's our freezing lines that go aloft in the atmosphere. So what it has a little patch of dry air right here for one thing, but it has this huge warm nose right here. And then the profile for this calls for snow, which is ridiculous, but that can't even possibly happen, so that's a glitch in the matrix. But anyway, so that's the GFS. We're going to go up here to Tulsa and Oklahoma City. What it does is, let's see, yep, we're east of this line, and we're at 32 degrees over 25. And it does at least show something. It says freezing rain. So at least the GFS says some hint that there is something there. And then if we go to, let's see, I think I can do the European. The new run that's just now coming out is not quite there. It's at the end of Thursday night. So what we'll do is I'll use last night's run prior, and then we'll see what that looks like. All right, so it's got that little freezing rain posted on the map. I'll pick halfway between Tulsa and Oklahoma City, around the turnpike, just so we can see what it looks like. I'll post a little freezing line that goes up in the atmosphere like so, and you can see it has a little nose to the right of that line, and then if you go left of the line, it goes back below freezing, 31 over 15, so that's the temperature of the dew point, which means the wet bulb would probably be right around 27, 28 degrees. In that case, once that happens, then you're looking at freezing rain. So that's how you get these little ice storms. All right, and then let's see, Dallas, let's just take a look, see what happened down there. Obviously, the European has moderated those temperatures a little bit. So again, we're east of that line down here. It has 35 over 29, so it would wet bulb technically around like 33. So it would be just a cold rain, and that's what this model output has, is a cold rain. So there you go. There's a difference in like 3 different models, looking at the forecast profiles for each one. The take home for all of them is that they were saturated, that they did have precipitation falling, but each one had a slightly different temperature thermodynamic profile. And depending on which one it is going to depend on what you get. And if you think it's hard forecasting that this far out in 7 days, sometimes wait to the day of, when there's a mixture of all 3 in your forecast area. Now that is a nightmare. Leslie, thank you for the stars. Michelle, thank you as well. And oh yeah, so roads. Somebody had asked earlier about roads, and I meant to do that, and I got sidetracked on this little discussion. So look real quick. I'm going to show you what, remember, you go to aarontuttle.weather.com or use my weather app, AT's Weather to Go, and click on the Multi-State Road Conditions tab. And when you do, you're going to see all the little surrounding states in here. So I've got Texas pulled up. So I've got the traffic on here, traffic cameras, and you can see the roads are colored in red. This is on I-20 around Tyler. So in other words, moving quite slow. But if you look up around Dallas, they have their usual construction red zone areas, their normal traffic. Otherwise, it looks like things are doing pretty good there. And when you click on these little cameras, it'll pop up a page that shows you different views. Oh, hold on. There you go. Might help if I try that again. So, sorry. Press the button. So here's the map. Again, my website, multi-state road conditions, and we're just scrolling down to look at Texas for an example, because they had some freezing rain last night and this morning. So there you go. There's the roads in Tyler on I-20. So you can see a lot of these are all red or covered or slow because of traffic. There's a little camera icon there. You can set your settings that you want to look at. And then there you go. So that pops up little camera views. So you can see how they did get a little bit of a wintry mix down there on the roadways. Traffic's still moving along, but obviously slow. But that kind of gives you an idea of what's available when you click on these links that I gave you. Here's Dallas, Fort Worth. They had just enough, looks like, to probably cause some slick spots on some of the area roadways in the morning hours and late last night. Otherwise, it wasn't a whole lot of precipitation as expected, just light stuff, very light wintry mix there. But they did get a little bit of all three, I believe. A little bit of touch of freezing drizzle, sleet and snow. But anyway, so those are some of the pictures down there in North Texas. So you can get all of that, as I said, on my website, AaronTuttleWeather.com, and on my weather app. And for those of you folks that are, what was I going to say, Stranger Things fans, hey, they're coming back. They got one more season. So they just started shooting it, I think, recently. So if you're a Stranger Things fan, you'll have some more. And if you want to have a Stranger Things rabbit hole, go Google the Miami Mall that supposedly was fireworks in, and the cops had to come and get all the kids out for looting, all that kind of stuff. If you go down a rabbit hole, go on TikTok and search for that. It was the strangest thing episode compared to the people that were there, meaning they were fighting monsters or something. It was the most bizarre, strangest thing I've ever seen. It was entertaining, that's for sure. So there's a lot of youth with some very interesting, video takes or something else going down there, down in Miami not long ago. I was like, oh man, that sounds pretty wild. But it's interesting, man. So if you want to be entertained, again, Google that whole Miami Mall situation and see the other side of the spectrum and see what's out there floating around. All right, well, that's it for me. Hope you guys have a good rest of your afternoon. Oh, you know what? Real quick, I'm going to look at the European because I was just about to sign off. I just want to see the new data, what it's doing with that system. So hold on a second. If you want to hang tight, you can. If you want to go, I understand. But I lean toward the European during these winter situations. A lot of times the Canadian will be first at picking up the trend, and then the European will come in suit. So as long as those two agree, confidence is really good, usually in this type of a setup. So let's see, data's coming in. This is on, it's so slow. It's not going to make it. I have to sit here for like 5 minutes before the rest of that data comes in. That's lame. Let me see here. Let's flip over to this. All right. How's that next front coming in at Thursday afternoon? So that was another reason why I didn't want to warm up temperatures too much Thursday afternoon. Depends on what time that front comes in. And the model still may not know exactly how cold that front will be. For right now, for what it's worth, the European tries to get us into the low to mid 40s. Let's see, that's Wednesday. Yeah, that's Wednesday. And then Thursday, it tries to get us back into the 40s again, about the same way. I just have a hard time believing both of those. So either I'm going to bust or they're going to bust. But one of us is going down. So we'll see. Man versus machine. See what happens. Anyway, let's see. So there's that cold that comes in Friday morning into the teens, and then it's got us at 22 and 26. So that's mid-20s. That's not horribly cold for an Arctic blast, as you know, because we just had one just here, and it was much colder than that. So it's not quite that cold, but it should be cold enough. We're just going to have to see what happens. Looks like it's down to the single digits and teens once you get at nighttime here for Saturday morning. And let me look at the trajectory of this. Let me see which way it's coming in. If it's along the one of these trajectories here, or is it more like comes in and kind of backstory in like this, but then most of it goes this way? So let's see what happens. Boom. All right. Yeah, it does a little bit of this. See that look to it? Let me see what the dew points look like. This is a kind of easier way sometimes to follow those guys. All right, so here we go. There's that big push right there. Boom. Actually, it's not bad. Yeah, it does still have that eastward push to it, but we get a pretty good blow. Our dew points drop down to -3. So it's significant, it's substantial. But again, that's one of the key elements is, how strong, how cold, how much far south does this front go. So down here, it'll be easy to erode this layer down here. Much harder to erode this layer above us. So that's going to be a fight between central and North Texas and Oklahoma as to the transition line from the rain to the sleet, freezing rain, sleet to the snow, which is what the models are struggling with today. So we'll see what happens over time, but that's what we got looking at right now. Let's see, Saturday morning they got us at 17. That's pretty good. Let me see what the sounding looks like. So 16 over -1. That's a really good front. That's a good Arctic air mass. All right, so we're just wait another couple minutes, and then we'll see what the European data shows for that ice development. Let's see, where's my map? Which one did I use? I got too many maps. Let's see what this one's. All right, so there's Saturday morning. So we still have the ridging. Oh, press this wrong button. Hold up. Get out of there. This button's what I want. We press, we go up, and then we go down. So this is the ridge axis right here. And so that allows a lot of that cold air that comes out of Canada to kind of take more of that easterly trajectory than it does, like due south kind of a deal. But what we also have is, like I said, we get start to develop, because what will come in underneath this ridge in the next couple of frames is this ridge will slide off to the east a little bit, and then we'll get this trough that starts to develop, and that comes in for us. So the pattern's not changing any, and then we've got all this lift, all these disturbances out here to the west coast to come on into play. So it's a really good setup. The only wild card is how cold will those temperatures be, and do they moderate in time? That's the only wild card. We're going to get the rain or precipitation. It's just, do we get the rest of that action? All right, so let's go. I guess we'll just do this. All right, so there's Saturday afternoon. While we're waiting for that, let me do this. All right, so Saturday afternoon, it's hinting, it's got the moisture surgence coming in. So in 24 hours, it should easily have no problem going from here to here. That's a 24-hour car ride, no problem for moisture. So, and actually, it'll probably be even more north than that. So we'll have this, should have this big blue area of pure moisture into our state by the time we head into Sunday. Let's see. So Saturday warms us up to 31 here in Oklahoma City. And that's with the some sunshine. It's got high clouds overhead. Otherwise, some sunshine, some dry air to deal with. Dew point of -5 at 31. Whew. All right. So the model will forecast where it thinks the wet bulb temperature will meet. That's this little blue line. And that says it's around like -5 degrees Celsius. So that's obviously below freezing. All right, now we're Saturday evening. We're in the mid-20s. It's like watching grass grow. It's like refresh. Carrie Ann. Yeah, the news is scared to say anything. Others say no way. I'm going to give you a little hint. Since we're waiting on this for a couple more minutes, a little inside baseball. By the way, Michael, thank you for the stars, and Michelle. All right, look, I'm very competitive, and I work very hard at what I do, and I look at a lot of stuff, and I use this brain. All right, so I'm gonna tell you something. It's gonna, if the other Mets watch this, or if this gets shared, they're gonna get a little butt hurt. But so here's the deal, man. So God creates you with a brain and a gift. If you don't use your brain, your gift, that's on you. So I use it to my fullest abilities. As far as I can take it, I'm taking it. There are some other people that are, let's just say, either lazy or not confident or don't have the education on what they need, or fill in the blank. All right. So that's the same way it is in the weather world. You get a mixed bag out there. A lot of people that you watch on TV aren't even meteorologists. Hate to break it to you. Now, they're obviously good enough what they do to pull the wool over your eyes, but they're not trained meteorologists. All right, well, that's fine. In TV, they don't care. They want showmanship. They want flash. They want viewers. If they got somebody that's going to get your attention, that's really all they care about. You think they care about ethics and morals? You're silly. So anyway, so that's that. There's a secondary dirty component of this, and that is called an AFD. And I can guarantee you, probably every Met in this market or weather person in this market reads an AFD. And you're like, but I don't. You're like, what's that? That is what the Weather Service puts out every day. I think it's twice a day or 3 or 4 times a day, I forget, where they give their area forecast discussion, what they tell you is going to happen and the reasons why. Now, I want you to think about what I just said for a minute. I want you to process that. If you are smart, and if you're good at what you do you need to copy what somebody else has said and go regurgitate it to do your job? Bingo. So I don't read AFDs. I don't need to. I've got a brain and I can use it. The other people, they read AFDs. So what happens is, the reason why I'm telling you this, and this is really common in the Dallas market, is because there's no balls. And by no balls, meaning either there's no confidence or there's no convictions with a lot of people that do this business. So they're afraid to say anything, and they'll wait for the National Weather Service to take the lead, because once it's safe. If they've done it, then it's safe now. They can join the bandwagon. Human nature is funny. You can take what I just gave you. That formula goes in everything. You can watch liberals. You can watch conservatives. They'll wait for a topic and they'll jump on it. As soon as someone else takes the lead, then they all do it. But somebody has to be that first person to take the lead. And so there are leaders and there are followers. In the weather world, there's a lot of followers and very few leaders. So that's what I have to say about that. That's why I said that's kind of... I tell it to you straight. I don't sugarcoat stuff. It's point blank. It's to the point. And it ain't pretty. I don't put the emotion in it. I don't care about feelings. I just care about facts. So that's a little inside baseball as to how this world works. And that's why, part of the reason why you see so many different forecasts out there. Now, when you're in my position, will you bust? Sure, of course. You never get everything right all the time. But you're convicted, you used your brain, you did your best job, and it is what it is. Then you just let everything else, fall where it may. So that's kind of how I view it, and that's why I'm different. One of the many reasons why I'm different. And I don't care what anybody else says. I don't even know how people say. I only know who says what because you guys will post on a wall or take a screenshot or something like that. Otherwise, I'm too busy, man. I got my own thing to do. I got my own life, so I don't have time to deal with that drama or that nonsense. But if we look at the model data, and that's what I do look at. Let's go look at the European. All right, it's into Sunday, midday. So this guy's at 32 degrees on noontime Sunday. So let's see what it's done at this point. All right, so then we've got moisture now, mid-upper levels. Still dry here to overcome. We've got that moisture band here that's showing up around 850 millibars. And the key is here as our temperature is 31, dew point is 6. So again, our wet bulb is still back into the mid-20s. Now, this particular profile, it says sleet is what would be the predominant precipitation type once the air saturates all the way down the surface. And that's noon on Sunday. So we got a couple more frames to go. All right, so now we're at 6 o'clock Sunday. So this one just came in. I'll still keep Oklahoma City as the point. So now as we look at this, now we pretty much got most of the columns saturated. There's very little dry air left. And then this level here at 850, we have very good saturation. The wet bulb is still right around 20, looks like 28 degrees. Our dew points come up to 17, and it's going rain. Now, obviously, it can't be just rain. If our wet bulb temperature comes down to 29, it'll be freezing rain. And that's where the model will struggle initially until it figures out what's going on. But that right there is the warm nose. So right now, the European is right on track with my thinking from yesterday, which, by the way, the European did not have this yesterday. So I decided to go with the look that was the pattern and the output that was the Canadian. So that's how I made my decision to go ahead and start talking about it. Jennifer, yes, AFDs are great to read if you want to know the ins and outs, of the weather and some of the technical stuff. And so, yeah, for everybody to read it, go for it. For someone whose job is to basically be the person that writes the AFD, you might want to quit cheating in class. Do your own homework. Take your own test. Okay, so let's see. There's that. Let me go to the upper levels. All right. So there's that trough still. Looks good. There's all that lift. Already getting the first wave moving through. And that's what's probably really what's saturating our atmosphere is this first wave of lift that goes on. That's what's creating our profile sounding to go from a little dry to now a lot more moist by that time. So basically during the day on Sunday, all we're doing is moistening up the atmosphere hour by hour. And so that would set the stage for then a late Sunday evening, Sunday night event for wintry precipitation. And let me get rid of this. All right, where are we at now? So we're at midnight now. Almost to Monday morning. It's taken us a while to get there. All right, still sticking with our point here. Oklahoma City, see how the story is being written. All right, so now this is interesting. This is where we're going to get really in the weeds. So atmosphere is still pretty moist. We dried out some slot here for whatever reason, and then the rest of is still saturated in this area, and we're still above that little freezing point here. So this profile would be rain, and then as long as we're at the surface below freezing, it'd be freezing rain. And right now it says we're 32 over 29. So that would wet bulb to like 30 or 31 degrees. So technically it's still freezing rain. Now the model is going to say rain right now because it's on this borderline. So this is going to be a close call. If you had to make a call, for example, let's say this was our data to work with as we see it right now. like the day of the event, like Sunday. So let's say Sunday I come in and I look at this right here, and I'm going to forecast whether or not we're going to have rain or freezing rain, and this is how close of a call it is. I'm pulling my hair out. Like, you've done me no favors. So that's where it gets frustrating. Now this far out, there's obviously plenty of time where you can adjust, and but it's the at the event, and that's still the data that you have to look at. Oof, boy, that's tough. All right, so let's see. We'll go back to Oklahoma City. Now it's warmed us up, looks like, to 33 degrees Monday morning, over 32, with a very cold rain. So that is how the model data can vary, and that is how the atmosphere can evolve when you're moistening up a column over a cold air mass with precipitation that develops. And it can be very, very challenging. Let's go to the output. Where was my output? Did I lose it? All right, let's go here. All right, let me put this. Might help if I pick the right model. There we go. Okay, so this one is going to bring in the rain from southern Oklahoma down to North Texas by Sunday evening. So there's that moisture. It's already returned, and we're already getting some light precipitation. And there, this little pink is indicating where the model is struggling to have it rain or freezing rain at the onset. So there's from the 6 p.m. to midnight, it has that mixture of rain and freezing rain, depending on the temperature profile here in central and eastern Oklahoma. And then as we head into the morning hours on Monday, it says, you know what, we're going to moderate those temperatures just enough to where it's just a very cold rain across all of Texas and Oklahoma. And now you're where it's cold enough is now going to be confined into southwestern Missouri. So there you go. So that's the two things on the table, as I mentioned last night, that can happen. You can have it cold enough to where it's just going to be ice when it starts, and it'll be ice when it finishes. That depends on a lot of factors, such as the trajectory of where the cold air is coming in from, how strong the high is pressure-wise, how deep the Arctic layer is, how low the dew points go, all those kind of factors. Unfortunately, you can never know all of them at this far out, but what you can do is get an idea, and you know that historically it's usually how that works out. So that's one solution. Second solution is we start off cold, like the European had said. We dance around with freezing rain for several hours, and then we moderate. And as we moderate, then the ice that has accumulated or has fallen now all of a sudden melts. And so if you're in a situation where you're starting to get accumulating ice on power lines and stuff, then it would have a chance to melt off and reduce those loads on the lines and the trees and etc. So that's also a solution that can happen in these situations. So it's too early to say which way it's going to go. Right now you've got a split 50-50. You've got the European that says it's going to warm up, and you got the Canadian that says no, it's going to stay cold. So they're going to be at odds. They're going to fight for a while, and the two of them will settle down. One will become a victor and the other one will follow suit. And at that point everybody will have the same forecast, and that'll probably happen, what is today, Monday now, so by Thursday, probably by Thursday or Friday at the latest, everybody should have the same forecast, and it should be one way or the other. We'll see. So until then, we just kind of watch the trend, and we see if the trend continues where it moderates, or does the trend reverse, or does it shift places? Is it all ice in Oklahoma, all cold rain in Texas? So all these little things we'll watch for in the coming days. And all we can do is look at the data. We already know what the pattern recognition shows. We already know what history tells us. So now we just get the devil's in the details. And we just try to unveil as many of those details as we can, as far out as we can. And that way you at least have an idea of what is on the table. And then we go from there. There you go. There's some basic forecasting for you. And Jen, that's right. So what happens is if you're wanting amounts and stuff like that, just like snow, it is notoriously difficult when you're dealing with winter precipitation. So I like 48 hours. That's the cutoff I like. Anything beyond that, it's more speculative. And then within that window, it's more concrete. So that's kind of the way I look at things. The overall pattern, the timing, that kind of stuff, it can be ironed out, in detail several days before. But when it comes to, exact amounts and stuff and exact placement, usually don't get to know that until you get closer into the event. And sometimes you won't know that till the day before. It just depends on how many factors are at play. But that's what makes the weather fascinating, complex, and fun, just because of all the challenges. So there you go. Mary, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. We'll see what happens. All right, listen, guys, thanks for hanging in with me. I'm glad you stuck around so you can see how the model day was turning out on the latest European. I usually like to lean toward the European, just so you know. But sometimes in ice situations, I lean more toward the Canadian. So we'll see. It depends on which one I like, what I see, and what I like, what I see. Then I lean that direction. So we'll see what happens in the coming days. You guys have a good rest of your afternoon for your Monday, and have a good rest of your week. And we will talk with you soon. Take care.